My fellow Nigerians, my name is Cameron Hunter. I am not a politician. I am not a pastor nor a comedian. I am a motivational messenger of the truth. I am here to let you know that what I am telling you now is nothing but the truth. I am not here to talk with big grammar or with big English. And this is the time to call the spade than to call it the garden fork. According to the religious books, it says that when you know the truth shall set you free. I am here to let you know that tough time never lasts, but tough people do. So, my fellow Nigerians, my topic is this: who is fooling who in this our country, Nigeria, today? Masses or the political juntas of this country? Okay, let me ask this question here before I can proceed again. How many political parties do we have in this country today? The answer is 91 political parties. So why is it that the presidency and the INEC too busy creating more political parties here in this country today? Is this not confusion to the entire people of this country? Everybody wants to rule, old people and the young ones, literates and the non-literates, at our National Assembly, Abuja. Some are going in there for selfish proposals. The major problem facing this country, I know today, is greed and selfishness. Out of greed and selfishness, the Lucifer, Mr. Satan, was dethroned to earth. The same greed, man ate the forbidden fruits. And out of greed and selfishness, the politicians defrauded this country called Nigeria. Nigeria, we celebrated illiteracy and are now paying the price for celebrating illiteracy in our country today. They contested and they won the election with their forged results and the forged certificates. They impersonated all the seats with their money, not with merit. For instance, example, in Imo State gubernatorial Tojo elections, once ago, first position elected to fall out, while fourth position not elected to fall in as the governor of Imo State. Is this constitutional? Is this democracy? I'm asking. It's like when you give a bus to a blind man to drive, and what do you expect from that blind man? And again, the Nigerians need to know why the judiciary institution must have allowed we, the most illiterate of this country, to run this country's welfare as their family business. Nigeria, the giant of Africa for mouth, giant of killing and the giant of corruption, giant of Africa, but we have no airline of our own. Imagine this big country, Nigeria, have no airline of their own. But those political juntas have their private airlines, private jets of their own. There are so many abandoned projects here in this country today. For instance, example, Ajokuta Steel Mill, 42 years of that sector haven't produced any sheet of pan or piece of rod, while billions of naira budgeted there was silenced to unknown pause by those covetous government after government in power since 1979. Our power sector has never been in a good shape. NEPA to some nonsense names that are now controlling our power sector as their own private companies. What is the meaning of this their estimated bills, which is another fraud to this country? The people of this country have never celebrated 24-hour stable power supply. In the same hand, the power holders are the most economic saboteurs of this country. Those political juntas continue to sabotage our power sector by importing numerous generators into our country today in order to maintain their selfish interests, while stable power supply is one of their most campaign promises. Political warheads of this country, they are so ego, so ignorant, so foolish, so wicked, and so inhuman. Political warheads of this country and the political godfathers of this country. We want to know what is horrible about you and the excellencies about you. We want to know. We want to know what is honorable about you and the excellencies about you. We want to know. Honorable thieves, honorable pen robbers, honorable harrows from one political party to another, honorable businessmen and the women. You are gambling with my people while my people are suffering for no cause. For those masses that follows you, loves you, fight for you at all costs, do all things to be identified with you. At the end, you can't even speak or fight for them, and then you neglected all their requests for no reason, because you are in business, Mr. and Mrs. Greed of this country. They were all there at Abuja discussing on money issues and on how to share it into proportions for themselves. Every walk, every step they take in this our country, Nigeria today, we have to pay them all their allowances and also their salaries. The government is not owing them, but they are owing us good leadership, good governance, as well as legacy to this country. Imagine all these allowances we are paying to them. Sitting allowances, traveling allowances, house allowances, wardrobe allowances, medical allowances, transport allowances, merriment and enjoyment allowances, unlike New Year, Salahs, Christmas, and the Easter merriment. We are paying to them all these allowances, yet they are too busy defrauding the government of this country. You made a pledge that you will defend the unity of this country and to serve with all your strength and to be faithful, loyal, and honest to the people of this country. Who is that man or woman that is serving this country with his or her strength or faithful to their people? In all those political juntas and their followers. So, do you want to tell me that our national pledge is a deceptive concept written by unknown person, disloyal people, and the dishonest people? So I continue to say what I saw in this country today. Nigeria is a country that has no future. A country that wasted their future out of greed and covers. A country that caused their future to be hallowed because they are politically from one political party to another. A country that caused their various homes to become war zone because of greed. A country that caused their future to be murderers, cultists, and assassinators because they are politically. A country that caused their future to be lawless and ungovernable because they are too politically. What you will be hearing from them are these messages of speech. Herdsmen, unknown gunmen, abductors, banditry, Boko Haram, insurgency, ritualism, and some other religious and political hoodlums in the societies today caused by those political juntas and their followers. Nigeria is among the most corrupted countries in the entire universe today. They are number one in Africa. Our national passport, green in color, is a serious crime at other nations. Imagine our national identity has been identified as a crime at other nations. The water was polluted from the beginning, from the hands of those disloyal ghost fathers that got this independence from our British colonial masters. Those disloyal ghost fathers were the first politicians that planted tribalism into our political structure. What has tribalism to do with the democracy of this country called Nigeria? The first virus in our political system before religion took over. So, what has religion issue to do with the democracy of this country? It doesn't matter your tribe, your religion, or your ethnics. It matters your good leadership, good governance, as well as legacy to this country. This tribalism we know today breeds disunity, unconcern, malice, ethnistic war here and there, and also structural defective in which the entire nation are suffering in every institution under the civil service of this country. It was simply because they have no good governance as well as legacy to their people. Just after 6 years of independence to 7 years, the Nigerians need to know why the defense of this country overthrown from the first politicians of this country, and what was their political agenda towards this country till date. The Nigerians need to know the meaning of their first coup to the first government of this country. yet the broken walls not rebuilt till today. So what effort have they made to rectify this mess in our democracy today in Nigeria? But let me ask here, why is it that those ex-retired military generals still romancing our government while they are the genealogy of crisis here in this country today? And today, they are the national deciders of this country. Every Nigerian are now expecting practical democracy and not this deception going on in our government today. And again, I continue to ask my questions. Is this government in power practicing democracy or autocracy? Sometimes you can hear from them saying hate speech. What is the meaning of this hate speech those politicians are talking of? This hate speech in meaning to me is when you are deceiving people, telling people lies. So we cannot just fold our arms watching those political juntas defrauding this country in order to avoid their threat. Now, this is my own definition of democracy of this country, Nigeria today. Government of their families, by their families, and for their families. Every month they receive salaries for themselves because they are not the masses. There are people that are called the masses of this country. They continue to send their children to study abroad to be higher than others. Our academic sector here in Nigeria is not in a good shape, both in our government and the private schools throughout the country, till date and tomorrow. Handout expos, cultism, examination malpractices, and the hatred teachers. The Nigerians need to know why some of those demonic lecturers in some various higher learning of this country too busy defiling our daughters before they could clear their papers. Sex for certain to pass their papers, money for certain to pass their exams between male and the female students in our various higher learning institutions throughout this country today. Is this manner not corruption? I'm asking. Our medical facilities has never been in a good shape. Our present and the past political rulers, you saw all this mess and also ignored it. It is simply because you have the money to travel abroad to receive sound medications for yourself, forgetting that a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. And again, from the eyes of Adam, government after government in power continue to talk on development of this country, but they are lacking on human development. The development of every country starts from human being, and from human development to human resources, their economy grows. The cities itself cannot develop human being, but human being develops the city. The only job opportunity that was created for the youth in this country by those political juntas are security jobs. Those political juntas went ahead and imported ammunition for the youth for the security purposes, and also went ahead to maintain other crimes like robbery, banditry, abduction, terrorism, insurgency, due to lack of job opportunities facing the youth of this country. The only thing you can hear from those political animals saying is that the youth of this country are lazy. It is because they are lazy too. Some other jobs that was created for the youth by those political juntas are Keke and the Okada transit. Imagine graduates on Keke and the Okada business. Everything that they have studied for so many years spent in school is now becoming a waste to them. Impersonation of offices, religious issues are the most huge problem tying this country down till tomorrow. What has Keke and the security job to do with our economic growth of this country? Nigeria, the giant of Africa for mouth, we are too big to travel with Keke and the Okada political juntas on suits and the abadas. Our economy is shaking, our oil price is falling day by day, night by night in the global market today. Our oil sector is in control by those ex-retired military generals, stakeholders, and with some other uncircumcised political juntas of this country called Nigeria. Our refineries were all down broken and not enough in size to produce the quantity that can serve the country as well. But those ex-retired head of state, political rulers, stakeholders of this country have their private refineries abroad. It is simply because they are too brutal, so wicked, and so inhuman. Mr. and Mrs. Greed of this country. We are now importing AGO, DPK, PMS, and some other petroleum products into our country today and tomorrow. Instead of them to use this huge sum of money they have defrauded from NNPC account to rebuild the damages in our oil sector, they simply abandon it till date and tomorrow. Okay, now listen to some of their barbaric grammars from those present at the past political war haze of this country till date. Operation Feed the Nation, OFN, to Otafam, Nigeria. Whom are they feeding? Austerity measure, the first fraud to this country. War against indiscipline, are they disciplined at all? Structural adjustment program, importation on ferry used and the toxic commodities. Privatization, they privatized our power sector, seaports, airports, because we have no airline of our own. Subsidy, meaning confusion, fraud to the entire country as well. Recession, meaning hardship, hunger, inflation to this country. All these grammars attracted huge sum of money stolen from national purse by those thieves, knowingly and unknowingly, unlike these figures. 12.6 billion US dollars, 20 billion US dollars, 25 billion US dollars, and the Abacha's rooted money recovered, and some others respectively. They share those money because they are the Nigerians, while others are migrants to this country. Who is fooling who?